What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best Southern Totem warrior build in Path of Exile 2. If you are looking for this build on the website, then click my link in this video description or the pinned comment. So this is a very unique build where we are going to be combining bunch of different setups into one big powerhouse, which on top of it is standing the Ancestral Warrior Totem with the Southern skill. Right now this is the top 1 warrior build in the game. However, it is not the cheapest and will require for you to use both weapon sets and assign specific skills to specific items, but the general idea behind our gameplay is to place down the totems while using two two-handed weapons with the Giant's Blood Keystone, which all of this will result in a screen-wide explosion and you're having the ability to not only one-shot bunch of enemy groups but also bosses. So let me show you the build, and for the main class we are going with the warrior and our ascendancy is the Titan. Then for the first skill we have the Ancestral Warrior Totem with a skill called the Southern, and then few more support gems like the Martial Tempo, Upwheel, Inspiration and Magnified Effect. Then second we got the Ancestral Warrior Totem, and yes, this is not a mistake, we are using the same skill twice in a row. And for gems we want the Southern, Concentrated Effect, Brutality, Heavy Swing and the Bloodlust. Then next we got Armor Breaker with Demolisher, Break Posture, Lacerate and Rage. Next we have Shield Charge with Unbreakable, Maim and Stomping Ground. Next we got the Blink with Ingenuity and Arcane Tempo. Then next we got the Grim Feast with Clarity, Precision and Vitality. Next we got the Time of Need with Fast Forward. And finally we are using Orb of Storms with Persistence, Fawn of Blood, Fawn of Rage and Fawn of Mana. Most of the setup is structured around using our warrior totem with the Southern to delete enemies in split seconds, so we use gems and skills that will support and increase their duration and damage, while the rest are powerful buffs and utility skills that usually get activated in the background. Also, on top of this, our build is not your run-of-the-mill super simple beginner setup, so this time which skills will be bound to what weapon will also matter, and that's why both for Ancestral Warrior Totems we want to bind to the weapon set 1. Then Armor Break and Shield Charge we want to bind to the weapon set 2. Then Blink we also want to bind to the weapon set 2. Then the Grim Feast we want to bind to 1. And finally the Time of the Need we need to bind to both of the weapon sets, so 1 and 2. Next we also have a leveling build in case if you are starting your journey from level 0 and you want to use it up until about level 25. But as we are running a high endgame build, so this time you're also able to experiment and use any other leveling build until the endgame. So first off we have the Mage Strike with the Ruthless and Overpower. Then next we have the Bone Shatter with the Impact Shockwave and Magnified Effect. And next we got Earthquake with Fire Infusion. And finally we're using the Shockwave Totem with the Martial Tempo. Next up we have our passive tree, and if you are interested in a full in-depth guide on how it works, then check out my beginner guide. So let's take a look at our setup, and we want to start at this armor node, and then go like this until we get to Relentless. Then second, keep on moving forward until we get to the Carved Earth. Then from here, let's keep on moving upwards and then to the left until we get these Shanked nodes. Then afterwards we keep going like this until we reach all of these 3. So Ancestral Melding, Ancestral Artiface and Ancestral Unity. Then next we want to reach the Giant's Blood Keystone. And then from here you want to go all the way up here, and only from this point and onwards you can unlock the rest of the nodes in whatever order you prefer. All of these nodes that we got are very useful, but the ones I mentioned have the top priority, as they're the most important ones to acquire early on in the game, to make our build functional, and then later on, the priority doesn't really matter that much. Also, as far as attributes go, you just simply want to fulfill your attribute requirements for gear and skill gems, and then after that spend the rest in the strength. And then on top of this, a lot of our build is also improved by our specific levels that we use. So for the top 3 options we have increased totem damage, increased attack damage and increased melee damage. Priority here won't really matter, so just equip the ones you get first. And then now let's go all the way to the middle again, and for Ascendancy build, this is what we have. So at the beginning you want to unlock the Colossal Capacity. Then second, get the Hulking Form, which will massively increase the power of our passive tree. Then third, get the Crushing Impacts. This will significantly make your time easier to stun the enemies. And also this will drastically increase your survivability. And then finally we want to get to the Earthbreaker, which gives us a chance to aftershock with the totem. So basically we are going to be able to use the same slam skill twice in a row, and thus increase our DPS even further. So feel free to use the exact same path as we have right here, and don't forget to check this video's description to find the link for this website, and this should make it easier for you to follow the path. Next up we have our Atlas passives, And the general idea behind this is to aim for bonus passives that spawn a lot of grouped up monsters, such as in Delirium and Expeditions. So when we start, we wanna first of all go to the right side and get all of these nodes, and then keep going down until you get to the keystone called the Deadly Evolution. Then from this point we now want to go up top to here, and then get the second keystone called the Unstable Energies. And then from this point and onwards you can unlock the rest of the nodes in whatever order you want. But then on top of this we also have sub-passives, and their order in which you unlock them doesn't really matter, so this time it's up to you. And this is how it should look like for the ritual. Then next we have Delirium. Then third we have the bosses. Then on top of that we have the pinnacle bosses. Then next we also have our expedition setup, and then finally our breach setup. And next we have our gear. The weapon of our choice is the advanced Great Hammer, and remember that because of the keystone we are using 2 of these weapons. For some reason in this website I could not add the second weapon, but just don't forget about it. And also remember that the weapon damage will not scale for the totem, so if you want to run a purely totem build without hitting an enemy once, then don't upgrade any gem besides more levels to all melee skills. But as I like to maximize everything to the brim, so I'm also using increased stun buildup, adds physical damage to attacks, and increased physical damage even more. Also, we got the second weapon set, in which we are using the Expert Slim Mace with a weapon speed and crit. And for more we need increased physical damage, increased attack speed and mortar strength. And for his offhand we are going with the Svalin. The shield is not required, but I recommend to get it if possible. But no matter what you choose for the bonus stats, we want to go with more armor and max block chance. Then for helmet we have Adzir's Disdain. This is not required, however it is the best in slot for sure. This is mainly meant to obtain high energy shield, so try to look for something similar. Then for chest we have the Expert Hexer's Robe with energy shield, and for more we want max life, max energy shield, increased energy shield as well as fire and cold resistance. Then for belt we have the Rawhide Belt with increased life flask recovery. And for bonus stats we want max life, max mana, lightning resistance and chaos resistance. Then for gloves we got the Expert Javel Gloves with energy shield. And for more we want max life, max mana, increased attack speed and more levels to all melee skills. Then for boots we're using the Expert Padded Leggings with armor and energy shield. And for more we need increased movement speed, max life, max mana as well as cold and fire resistance. Then for our first and second ring we got the same one called the Lazuli Ring with max mana. And for more we got accuracy, max life, max mana and increased mana regen. And then finally for amulet we have the Azure Amulet with increased mana regen. And for more we got max energy shield, max life, max mana and more to all melee skills. No matter which gear you choose, just at least try to get 75% resistance cap on all 4 elements. This is the best case scenario setup, which would be more of an example of what stats and prefixes to look for. Also, as most players usually run into some kind of mana problem, so that's why we spend a lot of stats to solve this issue. Then next we have runes. During early item progression, most gear is sacred with resistant runes. However, once your elemental resistances have been capped, and resistant runes are no longer necessary, then you want to opt in to increase your maximum life, with body runes or consider sacting a soul core. So right now on my first weapon I'm using the stone rune for the stun buildup, while on my second one we get the same soul core that increases our attack speed, in both the main and the offhand. And then for gear, so on the helmet, gloves and boots we're using the same soul core, so plus 5% to all elemental resistances. Then on top of this we need to quickly look into the charms. Charms are incredibly useful, as by having the right one equipped at the right time can save you from dying. If you are struggling with certain bosses, then look into what damage type they're using, and then use that specific charm to increase your resistance. For me personally, I like to use the stone charm for stuns. Then second, get the Taving charm for when we become frozen. And then finally we have the Amethyst charm for chaos damage. But as I said, which one you choose will entirely depend on the enemies that you are fighting, so feel free to experiment and mix and match. And now finally, let's quickly take a look at how this build will work. So against basic mobs and in maps, you simply want to run while using our AoV setup, which is the Ancestral Warrior Totem with the Sundern. This skill is so powerful and buffed up that most of the time they will die right away, even before we get to them. And then second, against bosses, this time we want to start the fight by using the Orb of Storms, and then stand in it, so then we could start gaining the rage. Then afterwards, right away use the Ancestral Warrior Totem with the Sundern. And then lastly we want to use the Armor Breaker to break the enemy's armor, which then is consumed to guarantee a critical hit on Ancestral Warrior Totem and the Southern setup. So let me know what you think about this build in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, then you definitely don't wanna miss my top 3 best warrior builds video, where I showed even more powerful builds, so click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.